Well, hey everybody, it is Melanie and Matt Mitro, and we're here today for our Business Tip Tuesday. It is Tuesday, January 9th, and we're doing a little bit of a different Business Tip Tuesday today. Actually, Matt had said to me, hey Mel, we've kind of watched people over the past few years as we started our business and as we started to grow. We've watched other people that have started at the same time as us, and we've watched people come into a lot of money. We've watched people blow money. We've watched people save money, and I live with the cheapest man alive. I guess I should rephrase that. I live with the most frugal man alive, and he is my coupon clipper. He is my discount hunter. He will not buy anything that is full priced, and he's always analyzing every financial decision that we make and making sure that it's the right one. And so over the past 6.5 years, right, as we've been growing our business from the very first day that we started this fitness business, we have just really tried to be smart with our money. And we've been surrounded by lots of other people that have also made great decisions and some that have made not so great decisions. And so today we actually want to just give you some advice, maybe some advice that people didn't give us when we started, so that you can be better off as you begin to grow your income. And you may be watching this right now, and you may be literally just starting to build your business, or you might be a couple of years into this. You may make $100 a week, or you may make thousands of dollars a week. No matter how much money you make, you can still take these principles and apply them to your life. One of the things as Matt and I were starting out with coaching was I always would say to myself, and this is very hard for me because I am a spender and I really enjoy shopping, and it's really hard for me to delay instant gratification. And I had to actually write on a note card and put it on my desk. Do you remember this? That I will delay instant gratification in order to have long-term success, because in my mind, I wanted it now. I watched people buying cars. I watched people getting new houses. I watched people go on vacations and buy their kids things. And for me, it was always like, why do they have it and I can't have it? Or, and I never knew if they actually had the money or if they were going in more debt for those things. But it was kind of this constant grounding myself to make sure that we were on the right path. And so I do very much appreciate Matt's frugalness when it comes to that, because financially we're in a different position because of the choices that we made. So you've got some bullet points that I know you want to talk about, and people, as you're maybe setting goals for this year, you can use some of these things and they can go into your goals, or they can become a topic of discussion. And then of course we'll take questions. So if you've got questions at the end, we'll go through it. So Matt, what do you got for them?
Good morning, everybody. I'm getting used to looking at the green dot at the top of the screen. So, yeah, Melanie and I, when she goes back and I hear talking to her coaches and things like that, they're always talking about how they want to get their year started and what their plans and goals are. And a lot of times, because she doesn't like to talk about it, is the money aspect of it. Mm-hmm. Sitting there and saying, I want to be elite, I want to do this. And to me, that was one of the things that whenever we started off, I was like, all right, we got to be careful where we go, what we want to do, because, I was considering leaving my job, doing other things. So we were kind of balancing some of the different aspects of how to manage this. So I sat down a couple weeks ago with my financial advisor, and, I was talking to him, and he was even starting to poke around. I said, well, what do you guys talk about to your coaches? And you talk financials with them? And a lot of times we don't, because we don't know where you are. Everybody has a different situation. Everybody likes to do different things. But, he's like, well, I said, well, why don't we come together? And I said, can you give me some talking points on what you would say from a financial advisor standpoint? And then I was like, well, I can kind of chime into what I do. Just because, like I said, every situation's a little different, and where you're at and what you want. So
this is advice. This is just advice.
Yeah, so these are my tips / with his kind of backing, because it just kind of solidifies where my head's at. So,
okay.
So one of the big things, as you guys are starting out and you guys are starting to do this, you always want to remember you guys are 1099, so you got to pay your taxes. So make sure that little bucket set aside.
So wait, before we do that, one of the things we did was we created a separate bank account right away, that everything that we made from an income perspective went into that bucket. It didn't go into our personal bank account.
Right.
And then 30% of that, how you took that and just put it right into a savings.
Yeah. So then we I separated the funds. So there was always the taxes that were there. So I never had a fear that, hey, we had something go wrong and we got trouble.
And we never pulled out of that fund.
Yeah, I hid it from her.
And not because I was going to take it, but just imagine that it's not there, because it's so easy to say, oh, I want to go on this trip, so I'm just going to pull my tax money and I'll fill that bucket back up later. No, we just didn't do that.
Right. So we just set it and forget it. And we still, whenever she started off, we lived off my salary, and that was the idea. We just were going to pay down debt with the Beachbody money and go about that way. So,
right.
So one of the things you guys can really consider is, as you guys are building up your business and thinking about what you want to do in the future, setting aside reserve money for emergencies, because I know a lot of people sometimes live a little too close to cut. So you want to build, 3, 4, 5, 6 months of your actual what you're currently making today from, an overall, just not your Beachbody, but whatever you can to stockpile in case you do have an emergency that pops up. If you do need to travel, do something.
Yeah. So even before Beachbody, we did that, right? So you had in our savings account enough money that if you lost your job, we could live for 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
And that was our comfort zone that we just never touched. So figure out what your income and your husband's income are and put that together and create that reserve fund. And you could even say, how would somebody start doing that right now if they don't have that at all? How would you set it? How much money would you set aside? How would you figure that out?
Well, like I said, for me, it would just be saying I'm going to take a specific percent of whatever you make this month and literally just start stockpiling. Even if it's $25 a month, just at the beginning, just to start building anything you have. Because if you're not doing anything and just spending it, you're still just kind of collecting yourself into more trouble spots. So,
right. Okay.
To me, so that's one of the big ones. I'm a really, really big stickler to credit cards. One of my stipulations before I married my lovely wife was that I wasn't going to propose to her until she got rid of her debt. She loved her credit cards. She loved just to swipe. And so her grandma got me back really, really good, paid off her debt and said, you have no questions or concerns now. So, but me, I'm a big stickler to say, all right, if you're going to use it, pretend it's already money you have sitting in your checking account. If you don't, you can get yourself in a lot of trouble. I mean, when you're paying 20-some% interest, especially when your savings account right now might be, if you're lucky, paying you 1% of interest,
right?
You're not going to ever get ahead. So for me, it's work down those credit card bills. If you have some of that emergency stockpile, I would say go through what you have, what you don't have, and start working your magic in between to try to cut that back, because the credit cards can get.
So credit cards would be over and above any other debt. You would pay that off first, right? And then you would pay only cash.
Correct, because to me, you're looking at interest rates. So if you have student loans, if you have cars, things like that, I look at it as you want to get rid of anything that has the higher interest rates on there, because it's going to take you the longest amount, because you're always paying the credit card companies or the bank back first. So
not now, but 4 years ago, we had one credit card.
Yep.
And that was it. And now we have a credit card in a business. We have 2 cards, personal and business. They get paid off every single month.
Yep.
So if we put it on the card, we know that we have the money for it, and it gets paid off every single month. And so that way we can earn points for our travel.
Yep.
And we pay a lot of our Christmas presents with our Amazon gift cards we get from our rewards from our credit card. But that is it. Everything is cash. We do not have any other cards at all, other than my Nordstrom's credit card, but I do pay that off every single month.
And I don't look at that.
All right. Okay. So pay off your credit cards.
Yeah. So if you have your emergency cash, if you have your credit cards in check and in balance and you're ready to do something else, I would really say if you can talk to your financial advisor in opening up a Roth. The government.
What is a Roth? For those of you that don't know.
It's more or less a. All right, now you're gonna get.
I'm gonna put you on the spot.
So it's like a 401k, but it's pre-tax money. So when you put it in, you pay the tax up front, but it grows tax-free for the next however years until you're 65. So that's one of those things you're not going to touch for a while, but it's good to have. But the government also sets limits. You're allowed $5,500 a person if you're single, if you're $11,000 if you're married.
Okay.
And that's all you're allowed to put in there for the year. Once you do that, then check the buckets off. But it's one of those nice buckets that will sit there and grow for you.
Gotcha.
In the background.
Okay.
So those are another fun one.
Okay.
And then, the last one that Mel and I, we also, we took a different effort because, like I said, we had credit cards done. Instead of doing some of the other things, Mel and I, like I said, we always had that proactive approach. Our kids came first. So the 529s are awesome. That was something that before we decided to start taking other debts off of our plate, we actually put enough money aside and have practically the kids' tuitions paid off. And
that was the very first thing we did when we started to earn.
So if something changed in the business, if we decided to go a different route, something happens to us, they're at least set for that.
Yeah.
And that was huge on our part. That was one of my most exciting days. And I think I made you sign the checks form to say we were so proud to do that one. But that's big. And those are some big numbers you can put away for your kids. Anything's really good because the sooner you start, it's going to grow.
Yeah.
And it's going to just help you out later in life too. So it's some of those easy buckets. So
I agree. Now, all of these things were done before you left your full-time job.
Yep.
Yeah. So can I kind of switch gears? Are those your top tips on there? Is there another one you wanted to do?
Those would be my quick ones.
Okay.
There's plenty of other ones, and talk to your financial advisors because I know they're going to have some other ideas.
And get a financial advisor.
Yes.
Right?
If you aren't talking to somebody, even if you're not making money. I mean, I was actually talking to this gentleman prior to even Melanie starting Beachbody, and it wasn't like we were talking. We were strapped, and it was like, this is what I'm trying to do, and this is what I'm wiggling around to get to.
Yeah.
But he still kind of guided me to the right directions, and that's
because you got to prepare for your future. So I do want to kind of pause because a lot of people, as they set goals, they want to quit a full-time job or they want to retire a spouse. And so, I always kind of go, ooh, I kind of pull back because I do believe that some people jump the gun at making that decision. So before somebody makes a decision to leave a full-time job, what would you say would be some of the non-negotiables that you have to have set up before you can make that decision?
Definitely emergency funds.
Okay.
If you're going to do something of that nature, you'd want to have at least a year's worth of salary buckled away. And then for me, no credit card, no mortgage, just because you don't want to sit on that. And then to me, my biggest fear would be whenever, we delayed the inevitable of me leaving my job, because I like my job. But it was more or less, we had everything checked off the box, so we would be okay if something did change.
And there's never a guarantee. So any business, whether you work in corporate America, whether you own your own business, there is never a guarantee that the business will always do exactly what you anticipate or what you project. So having that backup prevents you from having to have a moment of panic and not have yourself reserved. So making sure you have the emergency fund. Another thing would be weekly income. So some people will say, I want to earn X amount of money per week and then I'll leave my job. But then they maybe hit that one time. So what would be your suggestion? How long should they be hitting that number? And should it be over and above what they make currently? Sorry, I'm throwing you on the spot.
That one's kind of tricky because, like I said, every situation. If you don't have your emergency funds and everything else set up, if you hit it once, twice, it's great. But until you're so consistent and either so far above that number that you would feel comfortable to do that, that's where, it's these businesses, they're fun to start up and they're tough to start up. And once you get that momentum going, and I think you guys need to make a business decision of, you know, having that income or not having that income. Because some people I've heard like, well, I'm going to have my husband quit their job just because I replaced my salary. But then like, okay, well, you still have that amount of money that he was making. You still have to get incremental too, so you guys can live the same
lifestyle.
And
you have to account into taxes because you are now a 1099. You know, your company doesn't take that out. So if you're looking at what you're making with your business, you have to add money to that because you're going to be taking part of what you're taking home to pay off those taxes. And you also have to put in there like expenses and business fees and travel and other. So you really have to look at the big picture before you make that decision to make sure it's a sound financial move. So, yeah.
So one of the other fun things that right before whenever we ever, like I said, I'm different. I have a tax guy and I have a financial advisor guy. Our tax guy had me sit down in what is the PowerPoint presentation in Max? I can't think. PowerPoint. I think one of them.
Yeah. They
have a net worth, and it's actually kind of a great exercise to do because you know, I still update it once a year and kind of just review. But you can make a lot of money, but if you spend a lot of money, it still doesn't mean you're wealthy.
Right.
So if you look at your net worth, that actually is a good indication if you're trending in the right direction, which means you're taking debt down, increasing your just net worth.
Yeah.
And then it kind of gives you a easy plug in here, and it tells you at the bottom, and you don't have to do much thinking or build any kind of massive PowerPoint. But it's a kind of fun because what I like to do is every year, then you kind of just see where are we trending? Did we do the right things? And if you're getting more in debt, there might be reasons, like if you did buy a new house or something like that. But
true.
It's a great just baseline.
Perfect. So I think these are good, just sort of maybe you need to go back and refine your goals just a little bit and say, okay, you know, what do I financially need in order to be able to leave that job or to replace that income or change my lifestyle? And maybe you want to kind of reorganize the order of importance of some of the things you put on your list. And to get down some of those debts. So I think that this is very helpful. This is something you can easily share. This is just our advice, our opinion. It is, you always want to consult your tax person or your financial advisor, but this just gives you a little bit of a roadmap of the way that we plan. One of the things that Matt and I really say to ourselves is we want to live smart now so that, you know, we don't have to go back to doing a job that we don't love. You know, we can always choose how we want to spend our time, where we want to work and what we want to do with our money. So if that means that we have to live smart now and we have to say no to some things that we would like to do, we do. We make that decision because we know that in the long run, we want to be able to continue this lifestyle for the rest of our lives too. So all right, if there are any questions, Allison asked what cards you use to get travel miles and Amazon gift cards.
I use a Southwest business card.
For our miles.
Flight miles, because it's great for kids' vacations. Yeah, if you get miles, you want to use them for personally, depending upon how you run your business. That's how I do it.
Okay.
Because you can expense your travel if you're going for business reasons, but that's what I do.
Yeah.
And then the Capital One Venture card, which is really nice because you don't pay an annual fee and the miles or you get points, and then you get to pick what gift cards and whatnot you like on it.
Right. Okay, so Bridget, you asked about would it be the same in the UK? We can't really speak to that because we're in the US, so you would want to consult your financial person in the UK depending on where you live. So absolutely. All right. I do not see any other questions. So thank you guys so much for tuning in live today. We really, really appreciate it. And if you do have more financial questions, we certainly would be happy to come back in and answer some more of those questions for you. So if you want to just send me an email at mjmitro@gmail.com, or you can just send me a message right here on this Facebook page and let us know what questions you have. We will write them down. We'd be happy to do a little series for you about being a smart business owner and share those tips with you all. So, all right, have a great Tuesday, and we'll see you back here next week for Business Tip Tuesday. Bye, everybody.